Picture me standing in my penthouse office, 30 stories above Chicago's dazzling skyline, the city lights twinkling like a dream I painted myself. My name's Emily Harper, and this view, this life, is something I built from the ground up against all odds. It's 25 and I'm 28, staring at an email that just popped up on my sleek monitor. It's from my little sister, Lauren, and it hits like a brick through a window. Mom and Donna are in deep trouble, Em. The bank's about to take the house. I know you're probably scraping by, but anything you can give would help. I let out a sharp, bitter laugh, the kind that stings your throat. If only they knew. If only they had the slightest hint of who I've become. 10 years ago, I was just a kid, 18, standing in the living room of our rundown house in Evanston, Illinois. The place was a relic, peeling wallpaper with faded roses, a lumpy couch, and a carpet that smelled like spilled coffee and regret. My dad, Tom, was pacing, his face red as the old pickup he drove, waving my acceptance letter to the Art Institute of Chicago like it was evidence of a crime. "Art school?" he shouted, his voice rattling the cheap windows. "You're gonna flush your life down the toilet for sketches?" My mom, Susan, sat on the couch, her hands twisted in her lap, her eyes glued to the floor. She had this way of fading out when Dad's temper took over, like she could vanish if she stayed still enough. I stood there, heart hammering, gripping my courage like a lifeline. "I got a full scholarship," I said, my voice shaky but firm, "and I've saved enough from my barista shifts to cover the rest." Dad wasn't buying it. He crumpled the letter in his fist, the paper crackling like his rage. "No daughter of mine's wasting her life on this garbage. You're going to business school like Lauren." "That's final, Emily." But for the first time, I didn't back down. I didn't nod and choke down my dreams like I'd done my whole life. "No," I said, one word that felt like a grenade. Dad's face went from red to purple, veins popping in his neck. "Then get out," he spat, jabbing a finger at the door. "If you think you're so damn smart, go. But don't come crawling back when you're broke and begging, Emily. Don't you dare." That night, I packed a duffel bag in my cramped bedroom, my hands trembling, but my heart set. My walls were plastered with posters, Monet's soft water lilies, Basquiat's bold, jagged lines, watching me like silent allies. Lauren stood in her doorway across the hall, her eyes wide with a mix of shock and admiration, like she was seeing me for the first time. "You're really leaving?" she whispered, clutching her phone. "I have to," I said, shoving clothes and sketchbooks into the bag. "I can't live their life for me, Lauren. I won't." As I zipped up the bag, Mom slipped into my room, her face pale, her eyes wet. I braced for her to beg me to stay, to smooth over Dad's anger like she always did. Instead, she pressed a small envelope into my hand, her fingers cold. "Your grandma left this for you," she said softly. "She said you'd know when the time was right." Before I could ask anything, she was gone, retreating into the shadows of the house. I didn't open the envelope until I was alone in a sketchy motel off I-94, the kind with flickering neon signs and a bed that creaked with every move. I sat there fighting tears and tore it open. Inside was a letter in Grandma Ellen's neat cursive and a small brass key. "My dearest Emily," it read, "if you're reading this, you've chosen your own path just as I knew you would. The key opens a safety deposit box at First National Bank, Box 247. Inside, you'll find what you need to start your journey. True art isn't just about creating beauty. It's about seeing value where others see nothing. Love, Grandma Ellen." I held that letter tight, tears streaming down my cheeks. Grandma Ellen had been my safe harbor, the one who'd slip me paintbrushes when Dad called art a waste, who'd take me to the Art Institute and tell me stories about the paintings. She'd been gone 2 years, but her words felt alive, like she was right there, rooting for me. The next morning, I walked into First National Bank, my stomach in knots, the key heavy in my pocket. The safety deposit box held a velvet pouch of what looked like old costume jewelry, chunky necklaces, ornate brooches, plus some faded papers and another note. "These belong to my mother," Grandma wrote. "She was an art collector in the 1920s, a rebel like you. Most think these are worthless, but they're not. Find Daniel Brooks at Windy City Antiques. He'll know their value. I found Daniel in his cluttered shop in Wicker Park, a wiry guy with sharp eyes and a knack for seeing through facades. When he finished appraising the jewelry, I nearly dropped the pouch. Those trinkets? Rare Art Deco pieces worth over $400,000. I was 18 alone and holding a fortune. But more than the money, Daniel saw something in me. "You've got an eye, kid," he said, his voice kind but direct. "Not just for shiny things, for real value, the kind most people miss. Want to learn the trade?" That was the spark that changed everything. Daniel became my mentor, teaching me the art world's secrets, how to spot a genuine piece, how to haggle with collectors who'd eat you alive, how to build trust in a game where trust is scarce. While my family probably pictured me sleeping on the street or pouring coffee, I was hustling, learning, networking, building something unstoppable. 2 years later, I opened my first gallery in Wicker Park, a tiny space with big dreams. By year 5, I had 3 locations: Chicago, New York, LA, and a reputation for finding hidden gems, pieces others overlooked. Now, a decade after I walked out of that Evanston house, I'm the CEO of Harper Fine Arts, the largest private art dealership network in the country. My net worth? Over $14 million. I own a penthouse in the Willis Tower, a building I bought last year, and my name's known in art circles from coast to coast. My family? They had no idea. I made sure of it. My Instagram was a lie, carefully staged photos of a modest apartment, a beat-up car, a struggling artist's life. Lauren would text me job listings for her failing real estate firm, her tone dripping with pity. "If you need real work, Em." Dad would make snide comments at Thanksgiving about that little art shop I must be slaving away at. Mom would just smile weakly, like she wanted to say something but couldn't. I let them believe the facade because it was easier than dealing with their sudden interest if they knew the truth. Their doubt, their dismissal, it was my fuel. But Lauren's email about Mom and Dad's mortgage, it broke something open. The house I grew up in, filled with fights and slammed doors, was on the line. 3 months behind, the bank ready to pounce. I could have ignored it, let them drown in their own mess, but Grandma Ellen's voice echoed in my head, telling me it was time to stop hiding. I called Lauren. "Bring Mom and Dad to my office tomorrow," I said. "We need to talk." She laughed, confused. "Your office? What, the Starbucks you're at?" I glanced around my penthouse suite, the Chicago skyline glowing through the windows. "No, my actual office. I'll text you the address." She scoffed. "Em, you can't just walk into the Willis Tower. Security will toss you out." I smiled, thinking of the building I owned. "Trust me, they won't. Be there at 9 a.m., ma'am, and tell Mom and Dad to bring the mortgage papers. All of them." The next morning, I watched from my office window as their rusty Taurus pulled up. Even from 30 stories up, I could see their confusion as the security guard directed them to the private elevator, the one that only goes to the penthouse. My assistant, Mia, buzzed me. "Your family's here, Miss Harper." "Send them in," I said, turning to face the door, my heart racing like it did the night I left home. Their faces as they walked in, worth every sleepless night of the last decade. Dad froze, his jaw slack. Mom grabbed the door frame like she might collapse. Lauren just blinked, like she was waiting for the scene to vanish. The office told my story better than words ever could. Original Warhols and Basquiat's lined the walls, each worth millions. My desk, a restored Art Deco masterpiece, gleamed under the light. And the view, Chicago stretching out like a kingdom I'd conquered in secret. "Emily?" Mom whispered, her voice trembling. "What is this?" I leaned back in my chair, calm but unyielding. "This is my office. Welcome to Harper Fine Arts." Dad's face started its red to purple shift. "Impossible," he stammered. "You're a barista or something. You post about your tiny apartment." I walked to a painting on the wall, a piece I'd snagged at an estate sale for $500, now worth $2.3 million. "Actually, I'm the CEO of the country's largest private art dealership. Those posts? Fiction. A story I let you believe." Lauren's voice cracked. "The Willis Tower? This is yours?" "Technically, it's my company's," I said. "But since I own..." Own the company? Dad exploded, his voice shaking the room. How dare you hide this from us? We're your family. I cut him off, my tone sharp. Hide what? That I succeeded? That I built something amazing? That I proved you wrong? I sat at my desk, letting my success sink in. Now, about that mortgage. The room went silent. Dad's face hid a new shade of crimson. Mom's fingers traced my desk like she needed to feel it to believe it. Lauren stared at the Monet on my wall, her designer purse, the one she flaunted at every family dinner, clutched tight. I opened my laptop and spun it toward them. Here's my balance, $14,236,542. Mom gasped as Dad's hands shook. Lauren's purse hit the floor. This is why you're here, I said, pulling out a folder. You're 3 months behind on the mortgage. The bank's circling. I know because I own shares in that bank. I know about Dad's bad investments, Mom's credit card debt, your failing real estate deals. Lauren, Dad found his voice. You knew we were struggling and did nothing? Your own family. I stood, meeting his eyes. Remember the night you kicked me out? Don't come crawling back when you fail. I've carried those words for 10 years. That was different, he sputtered. We were protecting you. No, I snapped. You were controlling me. I turned to the window, the city glowing below. For 10 years, I built this from nothing. No help, just me and Grandma Ellen's gift. Mom's eyes widened. Ellen? What did she? She believed in me, I said. She saw what you couldn't. She gave me the tools to start, but I built this myself. I faced them. Every holiday I heard your jabs. Still at that art shop, Emily? When are you getting a real job? We need a mailroom clerk, Em. You said that, Lauren, last Christmas. She blushed, looking away. Now you need me. Now I'm worth noticing because you've seen my bank account. Dad straightened, trying to take charge. We can talk about the past later. Let's address the mortgage. I held up a hand. Not so fast. A screen lit up with their financials, debts, failed investments, everything. It'll take $2.4 million to clear your debts and save the house. I've had that money set aside, waiting to see if you'd fix this yourselves. You didn't. Here's the deal, I said. I'll clear the debts, save the house, set up a trust fund, but there are conditions. They started to speak, but I silenced them. Dad, you retire. No more risky deals. Lauren, close your real estate business and go back to school. You always wanted to teach. Her eyes widened. I'd remembered her dream. Mom, you'll open that bookstore you have always wanted. I'll fund it. Mom's eyes filled with tears. And we're doing weekly family therapy. Money isn't our only problem. Dad tried to protest, but Mom touched his arm. We'll do it, she said softly. I handed them the documents. These make it official. Take them, read them, sign them. Come back tomorrow. As they left, Dad paused. That thing I said about crawling back, I didn't fail, Dad, I said quietly. I succeeded without you. They walked out, papers in hand. I watched their car vanish into the city. Mia brought me tea. You okay? She asked. I thought about the lonely nights, the hurt, the strength I'd found. Yeah, I said, smiling. I think I am. They signed the papers. We started rebuilding. Dad apologized. A miracle. Mom's bookstore is a local gem. Lauren teaches art, happier than ever. I keep building my empire. No more hiding. Grandma Ellen's locket sits on my desk, her words my anchor. True art is seeing value where others see nothing. She was right, and the most valuable thing I found was myself.